Is simply that when we're in our truth or in harmony, or if something is congruent with what's going on in their lives, the arm will stay strong. And if it isn't, it's the bullshit meter. The bullshit shows and the arm just will crash. Where I like to start with the heart of the matter technique is there's three major things that people worry about. People worry about their health, so keep your arm strong. They worry about their relationships, and they worry about their life path. So that's where
what do you think?
That's where her energy. Do you think that might be true?
Yes.
And
we were just discussing.
Like say, I'm thinking of doing this, but keep your arm up while you say it.
Being a singer full time.
It goes really strong. That's something that's really important to her. Is that true?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Are you doing that full time right now?
No.
How does that make you feel?
Like shit.
Yeah. It crashes.
Yeah.
So what's keeping you from being a singer full time right now?
Oh, the list is
Give me
so
one
long.
thing.
Financial.
And that crashes because that's actually bullshit. Is that people can have really messed up financial and still create a singing career. So it's not a good enough excuse. It's a good excuse, but it's not the excuse. It's not a good enough excuse to hold her back. So let's leave that for a second and just check the next level, because we can drill down deeper and go to a next level, maybe shed some light on what would help her. So there's the emotional points that I like to check, and we'll see if any correlate with what's holding her back from maybe really going to the next step with singing. So here's a fear point. Here's anger. Here's grief.
Oh.
Grief goes.
Oh, whoops.
Here's worry. Here's relationship to self, which means different things to different people. And here's a regret point. But grief showed up. Big time. And she can feel it. I can feel it when I touch her. That's what I mean. Like you can, like I feel like a wave of grief when I just touch that point. And there's different types of grief. There's the grief of loss of a loved one. And that's the one that we all know about. Like you lose a family member and that's something you grieve over. But there's also another real powerful one, which is the grief of where your life is at this point. It's how we grieve for ourselves, because we say, you know, my life is kind of fucked up. I made it to this age and it didn't turn out the way I wanted to. And if you think about it, that grief could be more powerful than the death of a loved one, because we have to live with ourselves. And so let's just see which one it is. Is it grief towards, say, self? Just say the word self.
Self.
Or grief of a loved one. Say loved one.
Grief of loved one.
So there's something there with loved one. Can you just say the person's first name if you think of that person?
There's a long list.
Just say one.
Joe.
So that's really weakening. So that's something, and how long ago was that, did that happen with Joe?
07.
07. So that's still really, really powerful for you still. Yeah. Did Joe either represent someone in your life that had either support for you in your creativity,
yes,
or not support for your creativity?
Yes.
So you really miss that support. Yes. And so on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm sorry. Should we keep going or?
It's okay.
Okay. So on a scale of 1 to 10, her grief, if it was totally resolved, would be a 10, and 0 means it's crashing. Her grief is a 1, it's like a 1. So it's really heavy and thick. And then the part of the life path and not going forward, that resistance in the life path, is also a very weak number. So this grief, this unresolved grief, and we already learned because she just shared it with us. Again, it wasn't like some psychic, you know, that I pulled it out of her. I just asked her. But it's still equally as powerful to just have this reveal and get to the heart of the matter, get to the core of key issues in just a matter of minutes of talking with someone. And that's what's great about this technique, is that it helps people unfold some stuff rapidly. But that grief that's unresolved, because it was a person in her life that supported her so much, is also what's hanging her up from really blossoming into her creativity at this point in her